Welcome back, everybody. This is another episode of Anime Talks, and I am super excited and stoked to bring y'all some new content. And in this, we will be covering one of those just in situations. I just was able to finish up Fate Stay Night Heaven's Feel, and it's crazy. It's crazy. I'm not going to hold any more information as far as the podcast goes. We're just gonna go straight right into it. So, Fate Stay Night is a part of a very convoluted, complex breakdown of a bunch of different things, and I know we're out of order when it comes down to podcast purposes, but I'll cover everything as soon as we get a chance. And it's going to be one of those I have to go back and rewatch some things. I've watched all the other Fate Stay Nights, and it is very imperative to know that again I am covering stuff that is not necessarily in order. It's not chronological order. We're just definitely covering this. And it's explosive. Like I enjoyed every last bit of it. It is a three-part movie, people. Three-part movie. So if you would like to check this out, it is on Hulu. I have not checked Crunchyroll, but pretty sure it's on there. Just give it a look. It is called Fate Stay Night Heaven's Feel, and it is again three-part movie. Roundabout, we'll just go ahead and say an average of an hour and 45 a piece, and it is worth it. It's worth it. So we're going to take a step back and cover a little bit of the backstory, which is it was sort of like me going to the prequel or the prologue, which would be Fate Zero. So that's like the little bit of information I can give, and that is if you would like to dig deeper in this, this is best watch with Fate Zero. Watch that first. That is imperative that you check that out first if you would like to know everything that has to do with the series and the small explanation behind this. So let's move on to the next portion of this. So when it comes down to Fate Heaven's Feel, this is the third route of the Fate Stay Night portion. So Fate Zero being the prologue, then we have three different routes that are taken when we're discussing Fate Stay Night. So you have Fate Stay Night, then you have Fate Stay Night Unlimited Bloodworks, and then you have Fate Stay Night Heaven's Feel. And of course, I'm covering Heaven's Feel. It is the movie review, and it is crazy. It is like unbelievably wild. A bunch of spins, turns, a lot of things I wasn't ready for. I have watched the original Fate Stay Night and the Fate Stay Night Unlimited Bloodworks, and to see the crazy differences between them and where it ends, it is unbelievably like crazy. So a little bit of backstory on the production of this. This is Ufotable. This is the same people who are behind the animation of Demon Slayer. So if you are a Demon Slayer fan and you love the artwork, the animation, the beautifully crafted fight scenes and all that, this is for you. This is for you. What a deeper story, by the way. Very deep story, and it digs a lot into a lot of things. Like it's a huge rabbit hole. You just have to see it for yourself. You have to go check it out. It's wonderful. I would also have to let's cover some things that will set us up to discuss Fate Stay Night Heaven's Feel. So in Fate Zero, we have a Holy Grail war that is held every some odd years. It goes through generations, and this has actually been going on for centuries now. But you have seven heroic spirits that are summoned by seven masters, or seven heroic spirits are also referred to as servants, who come to do a battle royale to determine who gets to acquire the Holy Grail. Once the Holy Grail is acquired, the winner may receive or bestowed upon them a wish. Um, it's it sounds very 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 basic, but it's wild. Heaven's Film is is a very interesting take on it. Like I said, I've watched the other two, and I feel Heaven's Film has a very distinct way that it tells the story, um, in a different light, and it covers all the same instances for the most part as the other two. And I don't want to lead anybody on to say that you're gonna you're gonna like basically have to watch everything three times. It's not that way. The only thing that it's up until is where Shiro, our main protagonist, Shiro Emiya, where he acquires his um his servant. That's the only part that is pretty like it is pretty like the same, and everything takes a spin after that portion. So take that very 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 lightly there. It's not going to be the same once you get to that part, and that's like normally within I'd say the first 15 minutes. As far as the other installments, those are broken down into series form, so you're able to check that in and out without having to like put so much time to see the differences as what I'm talking about. It is not you'll notice the difference. It'll just skate straight through and you'll see. But we follow the story of Shiro Emiya, where he is a high schooler that gets roped into this Holy Grail war that is amongst all these powerful mages. And these mages are chosen through these through the bloodlines of very powerful mage groups or mage families, so to speak. And he is known to not have a strong bloodline, or he's the black sheep. He's almost like, we can compare him to almost to like Asta, but from Black Clover. But uh, he does have magecraft within him to be able to use. So for the most part, we do follow the story of Shiro Emiya as the other installments do as well. But in this version of Fate, we do follow his close tie and his love interest of being Sakuramato. And it's so different, but it's so crafted. The development is great in some areas. Some areas were lacking, but it's one of those to go back to the back end of the game or back end of the story. This is all source material that is in a visual novel, light novel, manga, adaptation, and also in a video game that is feature. I want to say is on PC and PlayStation 2. That's how old this is. So if you go that far back and play those, it covers the same type of source material, and it goes in the fashion of chronological order. If you want each route to be discovered, you have to go through the, you can say, canon, or the meant to be arc, so to speak. And that would be the Saber arc, which is Unlimited Blade Works. And then we have Fate Stay Night, which is the Rin Tosaka arc, or that route. and then we have Heaven's Feel, which is the Sakuramato arc. And there's major differences between the three, by the way. I've pretty much said that a few times already. So be prepared for the twists, turns, and craziness. But if you are watching all of them in any type of chronological order, start with Fate Zero, then Unlimited Blade Works, and then it doesn't matter how you watch the last two. But what is pretty cool is if you watch it in the order as doing Heaven's Field last, you get the bigger picture of everything all together, mashed and meshed into one, where you get like a little bit of the story out of each different installment, and then you can put it together. Even though there's different events that take place, there's a lot of things that are similar that expand on certain lore, and then you just put it together. So have your thinking caps on when you're watching this. Take certain events with a grain of salt, and then you'll be able to move forward. But back to Shiro Imiya, he is just a young lad who's just trying to make it. He's a part of the archery club, and he has a little part-time job, and then kind of find out he ends up injuring himself. And I want to say he's like really has close ties to like the kind of like the president, like the student body president, kind of thing. Like his friend is that guy. So he's pretty much helping like fix things around the school. Really, really lighthearted guy who is willing to help anybody. Good kid. And you see how endearing he is and how much he's willing to help just about anybody. And this is going to be our cover into the cast as well as we dig a little further. So after we see Shiro Imiya is moving throughout life, we do learn through the beginning opening that he is adopted, and he was part of the last Holy Grail War, where destroyed all of Fuyuki City and left, just demolished everything. And he was saved by his adopted father, Kiritsugu Imiya. And it is pretty important to know for my Fate Zero people that are checking this out, or the people that stop this podcast to go watch Fate Zero real quick. Kiritsugu is in Fate Zero as the main protagonist. So that is just a tidbit of letting you know, hit the pause button and go check out that before listening to the rest of this. Kiritsugu plays such a small minor role in all of these installments past Fate Zero. So you're not really having to deal with any real spoilers that have to do with him. So he is also being like kind of like babysat by Taiga, who is one of the teachers from the school. And then we end up noticing that he has this weird relationship with Shinji Mato. And Shinji Mato is kind of like this weird, arrogant little kid. And I say weird, he's mean. If there was like a guy's version of Mean Girls, that's him. He's very, very mean, very rude, very, like I said, arrogant, pompous, and is just very you get bad vibes towards him pretty much most of this most of the show. Basically in all the movies he's trash. And the other two installments, if I can remember correctly, he's trash in those two. But I mean, he is a really, 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 really good character. Plays a really good major role as far as the development of two other characters. And then we move on to Sakuramato. Sakuramato is the younger sister of Shinji Mato. And Sakura, with this being her route in as far as the ending and the major roles being concerned, she has the craziest development in in this. Like now that I've watched this, at first I thought Fate Zero was my favorite because Kiritsugu is awesome, but Heaven's Field takes the cake. Heaven's Field is like great, is beautiful. There's a lot of things that are different, of course, and that's that's that. So back to Sakura. Sakura's just she's amazing. She's like a little nice, sweet, innocent kindred spirit who's just she's awesome. You see how soft and how shy and timid she comes off as. Of course, this is me foreshadowing. Things later do not end up being the same way. She is very dynamically impacted by a lot of different events that are covered throughout the rest of the duration of the movies. And I recommend just if you have problems with a lot of different themes, it's kind of like watching what is the name of that horror film? Can't think of it now, but it has a lot of the Evil Dead vibes. The reboot that was around I want to say 2011, 2012, around that time, where it has like the weird nature violating scene. It has that in there, but it's not as bad as the other two installments. The other two installments actually show a little bit more. This one's a little light and covers it, but Heaven's Field does do this part well. If you've seen the other two before you get to Heaven's Field, Heaven's Field just like jumps. It's like, we'll cover this and then we'll get to that. Cover this, we'll get to that. And I like it because like they don't really explain. I mean, they explain the important stuff, but they lightly show the stuff that has occurred already. If you are already a very established Fate watcher, Fate enthusiast, whatever you would like to call it, if you've seen it before, they just lightly like brush over it, like, hey, this happened, so we're going to move here, which is great. Which means when you're digging down the rabbit hole, I like listening to this podcast. I definitely recommend go watch the other two before you watch this one. So Sakura ends up having having a weird relationship with her older brother at the beginning, and we see a staggering dynamic with her where she's going through obviously abuse is like something that's very, very high time for her, and it causes this really timid, shy girl who just wants to be loved, who wants to be appreciated, and stuff like that. And Shiro, he sees this and just wants to make her feel better. He wants to protect her, wants to be there for her, just doesn't know how. And we then end up moving past that relationship, or that little tiny segment, to where Shiro notices and sees his first bit of heroic spirit combat. I would like to say that this combat happened between Lancer and Archer. I'm not sure which of the two. Pretty sure it's Lancer and Archer. I could be wrong. It lightly covers it. I like how they brushed over this because it is very detailed in the other two installments. So in this one, it just brushes over it and just does like little panning shots of different events leading up to where we meet Kide Kotomine, which is the priest. And crazy enough, he makes a reprise as and he comes back as himself again after being in Fate Zero. He is actually Shiro Imiya's adopted father's worst enemy, kind of, sort of. Like, he was like his counter. I don't know what we're gonna say about that. He was like his counter. He was like the anti-hero. He was great. Well, no, Kiritsugu is the anti-hero, but Kide is most definitely evil. Like, he is one piece of work. He has a very stoic, stern presence, and for one, I love his voice actor. Love the guy's voice. He's great. He is very. You could tell he always has something going on, and he actually has the his servant is Gilgamesh in Fate Zero, and we do see Gilgamesh make a small return later on in the movie, and or I say later on in the movie, I'd have to say he appears in the second movie, but Gilgamesh does return. We aren't blessed with being told that that's his name. But that is Gilgamesh for all those that do check this out, or um, that listens to this and then check it out, or like stop and go look at go listen or watch other installments and then come listen to this. It is very Gilgamesh is awesome. I love the character. Very arrogant. He matches Kide so well. And then we also meet Rin Tosaka, who is also very, 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 very blessed with mana, and comes from one of the three royal families, you can say, which is the Makati, which is the Mato family, and the Einsburn family, and the Tosaka family. So she comes from one of the three families that created this holy war. So it is very, very, very interesting on how this all pans out, as far as like the dynamic, the shift, and the history behind it. Heaven's Field does cover this really well, extremely well, like too good. If you really want the bigger picture, that covers so much more about explaining the Holy Grail War. This installment does do that really well. And Rin Tosaka, she has Archer as her servant, which is nuts because spoiler alert, Archer is future Emiya. Emiya becomes a heroic spirit later on down the line, and it becomes the servant known as Archer that comes back later in way later fates to be able to protect and to participate in the Holy Grail War, which is beyond crazy. I want to say that right there is the most twisted fate line of them all, that we are watching Shiro, Emiya, go through all of these trials. And even in the other installments, Archer has a very, very interesting hate for Shiro, and it's because he sees himself, younger him, make all these mistakes, and he just wants him to be better prepared to take on the role. But at the same time, he wants to kill Shiro Emiya because he also doesn't want to be trapped as a heroic spirit anymore, which is crazy. Biggest crazy thing, like craziest thing ever, that we have such a weird dynamic going on where he wants to better himself, but he also wants to break the curse to where he doesn't have to be stuck being summoned all the time. And the Heaven's Field takes a different route with the fact that we see Sakura go through so much torture. She's being pretty much tortured with injection of crest worms. She's tainted. When I mean, the girl has endured so much pain and suffering throughout most of this. I really can't do too much covering on that portion because it's pretty deep. And when I mean it's deep, it's deep. So I have to say, throughout the rest of the show, we see Sakura's development as she's pretty much unlocked, in a sense, where she's overcome by a shadow that seemingly destroys everything. And we do see Shiro with his original servant being Saber, which is also his adopted dad's servant from Fate Zero. It's it's crazy. I love the storytelling, the world building, character development is beautiful. You just can't beat the storytelling at its base root form if you get past the fact that you're watching three different events take a spiral after we see the introduction of Saber. So after we have Saber being introduced, Shiro goes on to lightly find out different things about the Holy Grail War. Kide, when he when they went, well, from the start, Ren takes Shiro to Kide to get healed and taken care of after he gets stabbed by Lancer at the beginning. And Kide explains to Shiro how the Holy War goes. So then he has a point. You know, he gets it slightly. He understands what's going on, and then we slightly move to a different portion where we see a bunch of mysterious things going on, where we see the grandfather of the Matos, which is Zoken. This man's hella evil. If you ever seen the embodiment of evil, that's it. Like, Zoken has a crazy plan going on where he is attempting to use his descendants to be able to manipulate and win the Holy Grail. It is as toxic, as crazy. It's something you have to watch. You see a lot of behind the scenes things done by this man, as part of it is torturing Sakura. He's torturing Sakura to become the vessel for the Holy Grail as well. He's already has all these things put in place to where he's guaranteed victory of the Holy Grail War. Then we have the likes of, speaking of, Zoken also does have the Assassin Servant, which we see a lot of the Assassin Servant throughout this whole series, pretty much, and series of movies, where Assassin just pops up, and kills everybody. We do notice that the Assassin does kill off 2 heroic spirits at the beginning of the movie. Pretty much, this man just comes in, wipes the floor, and takes out a character that's actually a little bit bigger in another installment. He takes out like the one of the teachers, Kazuki. We notice he takes a nasty fall at the beginning with the death of Castor early in it. And then we notice Sakura is also a master as well. She's master of Rider, but we also see a slight change when it comes down to the rules. The rules of the Holy War are kind of interesting. We can go back and cover that portion where it is a little bit more to the scene of there's just 7 heroic spirits trying to win. The rules are you kill everybody in sight that has a heroic spirit. You kill them off, the heroic spirit dies off. The heroic spirit is then transferred into the Holy Grail to feed it or to fill it. It's crazy, but that's how the turn of events happen. And then we are also met with the other portion of the rule where each heroic spirit has 3 command spells that are engraved on the master. Once all three command spells are used, they are dissipated and they're lost. The contract is over with. So it's pretty much, you got three get out of jail free cards. Once you use them up, that's it, and you lose your heroic spirit, and you're pretty much, not pretty much, you're out of the running for the Holy Grail War. Um, it's it's pretty nifty. That's a very crazy thing there. So pretty much you kind of use your timeouts when you can, kind of a thing. But moving forward, that's like the main things that's going on, and you see that they barely lightly covered this little fact. It's very well drawn out in the other two installments. The other two installments explain that portion very well. Like it's like I said, this one kind of just does a here's here. We're gonna get there, and we'll explain little bits and pieces as we get there. Um, we then end up meeting Iliasville, which is Kiritsugu's daughter, biological daughter, and which would make Iliasville Shiro's sister. And for the longest, the little girl's so sweet. She also is the master of Berserker, which is he Berserker. By the way, these seven heroic spirits, a few of them have ties to uh, actual champions throughout time. Berserker is lightly based off of Hercules. Saber is her name is Artorias. She is lightly based off of the female version of King Arthur. It is very crazy if you go do a little bit of research on these characters too. If you watch the other two installments, there's a little bit more deeper down to the story of each heroic servant. It makes it so. It makes it worth it when you go check it out on the history of each one of them in the breakdown. But moving forward, the rest of it is just really, really good. I just can't begin to explain on how much of the twists and turns and the climaxes come about within Heaven's Feel. We end up learning a little bit deeper on what's going to happen between Shiro and Sakura, and what's going to happen to Rin, and what's going to happen to Iliasville. And as we move forward, we have a lot of deaths. We lose a lot of the servants along the way that get wiped out between really the first movie. Most of them are dead. The second movie, you just have like a lot of different things happening. I have to say, first movie is the setup, and where they're just like Game of Thrones, everybody's getting wiped left and right. But in the second and third movie, we really get a lot of, we have some really good fights. But movie number 2 and movie number 3, we have some really, really, really explosive details that are dropped. The backstory in 2 and 3 changes the mindset of how everything goes. We don't see a lot of storytelling in the first movie. Maybe we get a little bit. We get a little bit of exposition, expo drops or disposition drops. We get those, but they're just not as hard as number 2 and number 3. Once we get to movie 2, we see a change in pace of Sakura's mind state. Sakura's going through so much pain, and we see that she has the hidden 8th servant that's within her, and it's controlling her and making this shadow thing, like just obliterate people, just like take and tear them apart. It's wild. And then in the third movie, we really see a different take where we learn, mainly between the second and the third movie, that Rin Tosaka and Sakura Mato are sisters. They're blood sisters. And she was given away to the other family, the Makiri family, mainly because their bloodline was running thin. And that's what led to all of the unbelievable torture this little girl had to go through. She was just dropped in this little basement cell pretty much, and was barely allowed to eat, barely can breathe, and had to like sleep in her own filth and be violated by all these crest worms. It's just very just one of those things. Um, towards the end of these movies, we notice that Shiro is his conviction gets stronger. He acquires his future self's arm because when I mean dismembering somebody in this movie is like crazy. They knocking off fingers, arms, legs, I mean whatever it is. If you want it off your body, it's going to happen. And I'd have to say that the movie coverage was the pacing was good between all three of these films. We do end up noticing towards the end of movie 3 that Rin and Sakura's relationship was pretty much the determining factor of a lot of different things of why Sakura feels this way, and it's because she wasn't shown enough love. And with Tosaka being able to get away from being mistreated, she lived pretty much a normal life. And with this being the Sakura love arc and Shiro loving Sakura in this one, we do lightly see minor interferences of Rin trying to move in on Shiro, but she ends up not, and realizing the love that Shiro had for her little sister. So it's just one of those things, y'all. It's just a really, really impactful show to watch, and you just see a lot of things break down. And I would hate to spoil so much of what's going on. I did cover a good bit, not too much, because I don't want to give away the secrets. The movie is good. Go watch Fate Zero. Go watch Fate Stay Night Unlimited Bloodworks. Go watch Fate Stay Night, and go watch Fate Stay Night Heaven's Feel. You will not regret it. You will enjoy every last moment, no matter which version you're watching. But I'm not going to hold this. I'm not going to hold it not too long, because for one, y'all have so much more anime to watch, especially this and other ones. But I'm glad that I was able to kind of cover a little bit. I don't want to spoil the end. The ending was so great. There's not so much I can say, but without more spoiling, other than covering light situations that are coming that come about. I don't want to tell you what happens at the end. Normally, I end up doing that, but it's just one of those things. I loved it. Again, world building was great. The character development was great. You feel everything that's happening, and we are missing maybe a few different characters, but in this we can't dig too deep into development of the servants, only because the servants play a lighter role in this than they do elsewhere in the other ones. So when we cover Fate Stay Night Unlimited Bloodworks, and or just Fate Stay Night, this could be part of our thing where we can do a heavy cover on the characters. So outside of that, thank y'all so much for listening. This is your host, Jake Klein, and I do hope that y'all come back to listen to some more Fate and or Hunter x Hunter. And of course, we have a lot more that I'm trying to watch and get done. Maybe that time I got reincarnated to a slime, maybe another thing that's going to be covered only because I'm watching it. And I'm also playing the gotcha game. And we do have Black Clover, the movie, coming out soon. There's so much that's going to be displayed on this show, and I just hope that y'all come back and listen because I enjoy taking the time to go watch this and relay the message. And I also like it when I get feedback on this. So if you are listening to this through Spotify, make sure you go to the feedback section after you're done listening to it. Let me know what you think. And for everybody else on any other platform, please let me know what you think. I would love to fix any little bit to bring better quality to y'all, just like I've always strived to do. And I mean, what else is left to say? Thank y'all so much. Y'all have a blessed one, and we're out.